Hey Cardano, this is the final tutorial for the peer-to-peer DeFi wallet. It will cover the aftermarket. The aftermarket features weren't covered in the demo, so this video will show new things. The aftermarket is designed for financial secondary markets, such as reselling bonds and options contracts, but it can technically also be used for selling art NFTs. However, the aftermarket does not have royalty support since that isn't a feature in financial aftermarkets. For now, the prototype only supports selling financial NFTs. If there is a lot of demand for it, I can add support for selling art NFTs as well. Just a heads up, the hardware wallet bug still hasn't been fixed yet, so you can't sign aftermarket transactions using hardware wallets. For this tutorial, we'll be using the terminal to sign transactions. Once again, there were bug fixes. Creating these videos has helped me uncover some subtle bugs and weird UI behaviors, so make sure you get the latest fixes. You can do that the same way as in the other videos. Go to the Git clones directory, P2P wallet, right click to open in terminal. And then you want to do git pull to get the latest commits. And then cabal build to build using the latest commits. And then this command to move it to your home directory. It will replace the prior executable. And now this is the new executable. Let's launch the app to get started. We'll use the testnet again. To stay organized, just like the other tutorials, we will use separate profiles for the seller and the buyer. This time Charlie will be the seller and Bob will be the buyer. Let's start with Charlie. A seller can either create a spot sale or an auction. A spot sale is a take it or leave it sale where the buyer can immediately claim the NFTs for the specified price. An auction is just that, an auction where potential buyers can bid on the NFTs. The seller can then pick a bid as a winner. But that is just how the aftermarket starts. Sellers and buyers can create hybrid sales by combining the two sale types. For example, if a buyer sees a spot sale that is asking for a price they think is too high, the buyer can actually create a bid on that spot sale as a counter offer. In other words, the aftermarket actually directly supports negotiations. Because of the expressiveness of the aftermarket, you may need to watch this video a few times to understand all of the features. To create an aftermarket sale, you have to go to the native assets under the home page. And then you want to inspect the native asset that you want to sell. So for example, this loan key. Then at the bottom left is this button here. It's disabled unless there's already a wallet paired under the resellers page. Currently there isn't, so let's go add our first wallet. There's the add wallet button in the bottom right again, underneath me, and it's just like all of the other ones where you just pick one of your chosen staking credentials to protect your sales. And then it will sync the current status to see if you have any open sales, any bids, and your sale history. And now that it's paired, if we go back to the home page and native assets, the button is now enabled. This button will add the NFT to a basket of other NFTs. All of the NFTs in the basket will be sold as a set. Just note that all NFTs in the basket must be of the same type. For example, they can all be loan keys or options keys. You cannot have loan keys and options keys in the same batch. This is a limitation in the smart contracts themselves. So if we add to batch, it was added to batch. And now if we close the inspection, there's now this bottom row that wasn't visible before. This row is only visible if there are actually NFTs in the batch. If you ever change your mind and want to empty the whole batch, you could just click the cancel button and the row will disappear. Let's add that NFT back though. And we can view what's inside the batch clicking this button. It shows the information for the underlying financial asset, which in this case is the underlying loan. So you can see all of the information that you could see from the loan page. If we empty this one and then this time add an options key, and view batch, it shows the options contract information instead. Clear that for now. Let's create an auction for the two loan keys. So we'll go and add both of them to the batch. And then we go to view batch when we're ready to check out. You can always remove, if you change your mind about a specific NFT, you can always click this to remove it from the batch. And then when you're ready to create the sale, you just click checkout. Here you can choose between a spot sale and an auction sale. You can see the differences between the two in the help messages. This choice is only meant to express your intent. Just because you choose a spot sale doesn't mean you can't interact with counter bids from potential buyers. We'll cover the spot in a little bit, but for now we'll do the auction. You have to choose which staking credential, which is the paired credentials for under the reseller page. You have to choose which one is going to be used to protect the sale. And then you have to specify a starting price. The starting price can be a multi-asset price. So we could do like 100 ADA and then 10 AGIX. Just like normally with auctions, the starting price is just that. It's a starting price. You can accept bids that are below the starting price or above the starting price. It's up to you. When you're ready, you just click create auction. Then the auction is going to need to be stored with a deposit. You'll get this back at the end of the sale. And the builder already found the key NFTs and they were added to the builder. If we go to the builder, we can see this is the UTXO that has the required keys. It has both of them. And we're going to create an aftermarket auction sale with this starting price. This is the staking credential we chose to protect the sale. You can see the 2 loan keys. You can always edit. And then from this view, you can click this more button and then you can actually see the 2 there. You can remove them here. Okay, let's go back now and create a sale for each of these auction keys separately. We'll do 2 spot sales and 1 auction sale. So for this one, we'll do a spot sale. So it's just this one this time. We're going to check out. And for the spot sale, we're going to specify the seller credential, which is again the reseller wallet you want to protect the sale itself. The payment address is when the buyer actually purchases the NFTs, where do you want the proceeds to go? This drop down is the home drop down up here. So we only have the one home address paired, so it'll be that one. And then the sale price. This sale price is the actual price you're asking for. It's a take it or leave it. So for this, we'll do... actually, what was the... It's 100 ADA for the offer. I'm guessing I paid about 5 ADA for the premium. So I'll ask for 7 ADA for this options contract. And create spot. The spot also has a required deposit. If the buyer purchases the sale, this will be included in the payment output. And now we can see we are creating a spot sale using that staking credential. You can see the options keys. You can edit again and see it here. The NFT for it is probably in this UTXO. Okay, so 2 more. This one will also be a spot sale. So this one I'll ask for 10 ADA since I probably paid about that for the premium. Create spot. And then the last one, this one will be an auction. I'll do 10 ADA again for the starting price. And then another deposit is required. And now you can see all of them in the builder. We're deliberately creating separate sales for the options keys so that I can show you how to combine sales after they're created. So let's balance and submit this transaction for Charlie. So we need to change address. It's missing 4 ADA and then collateral. So we specify the change address. Missing 4 ADA. Oh, that's the one that's already got the keys. And then collateral. And now we can build this transaction. So we're creating 4 sales for a total fee of 0.45 ADA. Export it to the terminal so that we can sign it since we can't use the hardware wallets yet. And now in the terminal, we want to use the same commands as with the other tutorials. We only need one signature for Charlie, so it's just his personal key. And now we can submit the external transaction. And now we just have to wait for the transaction to get processed. Okay, that was pretty quick. Under notifications, we can see that spot sale statuses have changed, which just means that they were created. Same thing with auction sale statuses have changed. Again, these notifications should be more detailed than in a professional version of this wallet, but it is just a prototype. And you can now see the sales under sell open sales for the reseller page. You can sort and filter them by sale type or which NFT is being sold. And you can sort them here. The help message can explain more. And you can see the information. So this is the particular UTXO's output reference for this auction. This is the time it was created. You can see the starting price. This button allows you to see the current status of the underlying assets. So if you resync, you can get the latest information for the options contract. So for example, if we go to the loans, maybe the borrower has made a payment, so the statuses have changed. You can resync it and see what the current statuses are here. And you can also view the borrower's specific information directly from the batch. So you can see this credit score, what's the latest here. And then you can edit or close each individual sale. If you update the sale, for example, let's say you want to change this from an auction to a spot, and you click update. If you go to the builder tells you the change that's occurring. So this is going from an auction sale to a spot sale. If we changed it back to an auction sale and click update, it's just auction to auction. So that's just something unique for when you're updating a current sale. Okay, now I need to show you how to add NFTs to an open sale. For example, if we were to merge these into a single sale, or if you wanted to add another NFT from the home native assets, you can't actually do that from the update. If you go to the edit, there's no way to add the NFTs from here. Instead, what you have to do is close the sale that you want to add to or merge. So for example, if we want to merge these two spot sales, we'll close both of them. And then you go to the inspect batch. And there's this button here that will add it to the home batch. If we click it and now go back to the home native assets, you can see the row at the bottom has appeared, and that NFT is now ready. It's in the basket, ready to be added to a new sale. So we go to the other one. We need to do the same thing where we inspect the batch and add it to the home's basket. So now they're the two NFTs, and we can view batch and check out again. So I'll do 15 ADA for both of these as the sale price. Create spot. The deposit is there. And now it's balanced already. You have to remember to close the associated sales that you're merging or adding to, because the NFTs you need are in that UTXO. And we're going to create a new sale with both of them. So now we just need Charlie to build and submit this transaction. So the total fee is 0.443. And we need to sign. This time we actually need the staking key as well. So we need this command. So it's got the personal key and the staking key, since this is the key used to close the currently open sales. If we go to the required signatures, you can see the required keys here. And then we submit the external transaction. And there we go. We just merged the two sales into one. I'm open to suggestions on how to make combining sales easier. This was just the easiest method I came up with for the prototype. If we go to the news, spot sale statuses have changed. And you can see that we've successfully combined the two option sales into one. Let's switch to Bob now to see how to find current sales and either buy them or negotiate. So we log out of Charlie and go to Bob, and we want to sync to make sure that we have the latest. To look up sales, you want to go to the reseller page, make sure you have a wallet paired, and then you want to go to buy. Then you go to the Aftermarket tab. And which aftermarket would you like to look up? We'll start with options. Click confirm. You can resync the aftermarket, and you can also sort and filter them. But you can see the two sales that are currently open for options. There's one spot sale and one auction. You got the normal information like the output reference for this sale, the time it was created. This is the address the payment for this spot must go to. You can inspect the batch to see the underlying financial assets, what their current terms are. So these are the two options contracts. And then there's this seller information button that is just like the borrower information button from the lender's page. You can see all of the seller's current sales, and you can also see all of their current bids. Since for auctions, you probably need to be the highest bidder, being able to see the current bids is pretty important for you to know what to bid. Before you've inspected a batch, these buttons here are not actually enabled. Since we've already inspected this batch, these two buttons are enabled. For this one, it says you have to inspect the batch before you can actually click the button. So if we did inspect the batch, and we can now see the options contract. You have to do that just so that the wallet actually knows what the underlying UTXOs are. Before you inspect the batch, the builder actually can't use the underlying UTXOs. Okay, so for spot, you have two choices. You can either purchase it outright, or you can create a counter offer if you actually don't like the sale price. So if we were to do purchase options contract, you actually have the choice to immediately execute the options contract. If you want to immediately execute them, you could just click, like if you check both of them, it will immediately execute both of them. Just check whichever one you want and then click confirm. And if we go to the builder, it's going to purchase it, and you can always edit if you change your mind about which ones you want to execute. Like if we didn't want to execute any, you can change that here. If you wanted to create a counter offer though, you could then create a spot bid or a claim bid. A spot bid is available for immediate exchange. The seller would take the bid amount and send you the NFTs directly. There would be no more input needed from you. However, since the seller is the one that finalizes the trade with spot bids, you can't compose the aftermarket with the other DeFi protocols. The seller isn't going to immediately execute the options contracts for you. In order to do that, you, the buyer, need to be the one to finalize the trade. That's the point of the claim bid. If the seller accepts your bid, the seller will lock up the NFTs for you to come claim, hence the name. You can specify how long you need to claim the NFTs. If you fail to claim the NFTs in time, the seller can confiscate your deposit and reclaim their NFTs to sell it to somebody else. Being able to compose the aftermarket with the primary market is critically important for the health of some markets. For example, for loans, the buyer must update the required loan payment address for the underlying loans in the same transaction as the purchase, or else risk missing out on future loan payments. It would be terrible if the buyer paid for the loans on the aftermarket, but the borrowers repaid the loans in full before the buyer had a chance to change the required loan payment address on the loans. For options, this doesn't matter as much, so you can use a spot bid if you want. There is one important point about claim bids, and that is the buyer can technically walk away from the trade even after the seller has locked up the NFTs for the chosen buyer to come claim. Because of this risk, sellers may prefer not to accept claim bids. If they accept a claim bid, other bidders will close their bids since they will think a deal has already been made. So if you want to use a claim bid, you need to make it attractive to the seller. That is why you can set a custom deposit. Under the claim bid, you can set a custom deposit here. The deposit shows your commitment to actually claiming the NFTs and will help compensate the seller in the case you do walk away. As long as you actually claim the NFTs, you will get the deposit back. If you leave the deposit field blank, then only the min UTXO value for the bid will be used. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's actually create a claim bid for the other auction since we're going to use the spot purchase for this one. So create bid, and we're going to do a claim bid. And you can see the NFT that would be claimed here. What is the bidder credential that you want to use to protect this bid? It has to be one of your reseller's credentials. So that's the only one that's available. The bid expiration is the date by which you want this bid to expire. It has to be absolute date. So this one will expire on January 12th. Then the claim expiration is the date by which you are promising to come claim the NFTs by. So the date here is January 17th. So you're giving yourself 5 days after the bid expiration. For the bid deposit, I'll do 5 ADA, so it's half of the actual bid price, and then click create. So the new bid requires the deposit that I'm promising. And now if we go to the builder, we can see the claim bid next to the spot purchase. So now let's go and switch. If you click that box, you can switch the aftermarket you want to look at. So we'll look at loans this time. And this time we only see the one auction for loans with this starting price. You can inspect the batch. So you can see the two loans that are up for auction right now. So the total outstanding balance is about 420 ADA. You could check the borrower information to see if you want to take on that risk. This time, let's see what the other bids are to see what we're competing with. So we go to the seller status and current bids. It was already open here. You can see that there are 2 bids made. These may be for different sales, so you should make sure to inspect them to make sure that they actually are competing against you. Okay, so this one, if you ever see this where there's a balance of 0, locked collateral of 0, the next deadline is 1969. This actually means that the loan doesn't exist anymore. It was closed, the collateral is claimed, or whatever. This was just a dummy placeholder, just to make sure that the wallet doesn't crash when the loan no longer exists. So this is not a real loan. This one down here is, though. But if we inspect the other one, this one is actually the one for the sale we're currently looking at. So this person actually bid 430 ADA for it. The deposit they used is only the minimum UTXO value, it looks like. So to outbid them, I could just do the exact same bid, but promise a larger deposit. So if I wanted to, For loans, it has to be a claim bid because it's not safe to use spot bids since you must be able to compose updating the loan payment address in the same transaction. So only claim bids are allowed for loans. If you wanted to, you could also like remove one of them. Like if I didn't actually want both of them. So for example, for this claim bid, I actually will remove this one because I don't want that one. I only want this loan. So I set the bidder credential to protect it. The bid expiration, when will this bid expire? The claim expiration. For this deposit, I'll do 10 ADA. And since I removed one of the loans, I don't feel it's justified to pay the full price. So I'll just do 50 ADA. And then create. So I have to use the I have to use the deposit that I promised. And now in the builder, you can see that I'm creating a claim bid for one loan key. It's not both. So this claim bid is technically a counter offer for the auction. Now we need Bob to balance and submit this transaction. And if we look at the change, we're missing the 102 JED because we are actually executing one of the options contracts here. So we need ADA or we just need the JED. So we go to home, so UTXOs, let's search for a JED. This one has 1,000. And now we need to specify change address. Oh, and collateral UTXO. And now we can have Bob build and sign this transaction. The total transaction fee here is 1.06. So we're doing 2 claim bids, a purchase, and we're composing it with the actual options market by executing one of the options contracts. For signatures, we need both the personal key and the stake key. Since we are trying to protect these bids with the bidder credential, you actually need to sign to prove you control that bidder credential. So let's export this. And then move to the terminal to sign it. You need to use this command and sign with the personal key and staking key. And now back in the wallet, we can submit the transaction. Okay, and now we just have to wait for it to get added to the blockchain. That was quick. In the notifications, we see bids to sellers have changed. And we can see them under the buy own bids. The 2 claim bids that we just created. The spot, if we go to home and transactions, sometimes the wallets sync independently. So it synced the reseller, but it didn't update the home address. Okay, there we go. Now we have the latest transaction in the home address, and we can see that we paid the 102 JED in order to immediately execute the options contract in that same transaction. Just like with all of the other pages, the layout is very similar. You have the UTXO's output reference, the time it was created, the expiration. You can inspect the batch and resync the batch if you want the latest info. And then you can look up the seller's information from this, so you can see if the seller has already chosen somebody else, in which case you should just close your bid. And you can sort and filter. So before we go back to the seller page, the last tab here is the bid history. It's just like the position history for the order book, the DEX. So you can see in this transaction 2 bids were created. You can change the time, the end date, and the aftermarket type. It's just like all of the other histories, so I'm not going to go into depth here. Okay, now let's go back to Charlie to see what happened from the seller's perspective. Let's log out, go to Charlie, and then resync the wallet to get the latest. If we go to the news in the aftermarket, spot sale statuses have changed and bids from potential buyers have changed. So this, if we go to reseller, we go to sell this time, open sales, we see that the spot sale is now gone because that was purchased and the options contract were executed. We go to current bids. Charlie can see all of the bids that were made for his auctions. You got for the loan key here, there's one for the loan key. He can inspect to see which loan this one's for. There's one for the options key, and then there's two more for loans. And you can, just like all the other pages, you can filter and sort them. Okay, so now Charlie needs to choose which bids he wants to accept. There's only one bid for the options auction that he has open, this one. So to accept it, you just click the accept bid, and then you have to specify where you want the bid payment to go when the buyer actually does come to claim the NFTs. So this is the drop down from your home menu. There's only one here, so that's the only option. And then in the builder, you can now see you're accepting a claim bid. This is the output reference for the bid. This is the staking credential that's going to be used to protect the claim bid. And if the buyer doesn't come to claim the NFTs, you need this credential to actually reclaim the NFTs. You could always edit if you actually do want to use a different address, you can edit it here. And now Charlie needs to choose which bid to use for the loan auction. So the loan ID 881 and loan ID EC3. This one is only for one of the two loans. It's for 8881. And the bid amount is 50. The deposit is 10. For this one, the 720. This one's for a loan that doesn't exist, so this bid actually can't be accepted. This one just has to be closed by the bidder. But this other one is for both loans, the 881 and EC3. And the bidder is willing to pay 430 ADA for this one. So Charlie actually is going to choose this one, accept the bid. And he's again going to specify where he wants the payment to go when the NFTs are actually claimed. The new bid UTXO requires an additional ADA deposit. Charlie's going to get this back when the NFTs are claimed. If the NFTs are not claimed, he'll get this back when he just reclaims the NFTs. Okay, so now Charlie needs to just balance and submit this transaction. For balancing it, he actually needs the NFTs that are currently in the auctions, so he has to close the associated sales. Just closing both of them. And now the transaction is balanced, it just needs to change address and collateral. So we specify the change address and the collateral. And now this transaction can be built. The total transaction fee is 0.74 ADA. And we need both Charlie's personal key and the staking key used to protect the sales, since he does have to actually spend those UTXOs. Export this. And then we move to the terminal to sign. We need to use this command again. So we're signing with the personal key and the staking key used to protect the sales. And now we just submit the transaction. And that's it. We just wait for the transaction to get processed. So now it says auction statuses have changed, bids from potential buyers have changed, and accepted bid statuses have changed. There are no more open sales. Under current bids, we see 2 accepted claim bids. And the buyer still has time to claim the NFTs. Once the claim deadline has passed, this button will become enabled and Charlie will be able to reclaim the NFTs and also confiscate the deposits. So these are both waiting for the bidders to come claim the NFTs. And then the last thing here is the store history. It's just like the borrower's history. There are too many possibilities to have another row here of showing what's going on. But you have the timestamp. You can filter. You can change the start and end date. Filter by specific aftermarket sale. And you can inspect each individual transaction. So claim bid was accepted. These 2 seller UTXOs were closed. And these accepted claim bid UTXOs were created. Okay. One last thing to show is from the buyer's perspective, from Bob's perspective, he has to come claim the NFTs that are waiting for him. So let's log out and go back to Bob. And now we need to resync to get the latest for him. We go to the news, we can see bids to sellers have changed and accepted bids available to claim. So we go to reseller, we go to buy, and then we see own bids. Under own bids, you can see the accepted claim bid. Only one of them is here is because the other one actually isn't from me. I don't know who created that bid, but good job figuring out how to use the GUI before the tutorial. To claim the NFTs that are waiting for you, you just have to click the claim options keys. And then just like with the spot purchase, you can compose it with the primary market. So since these are options contracts, I can choose to immediately execute them. I'm not going to this time. And now if we go to the builder, it's here, the claim accepted bid. To balance it, we actually need to pay the seller the requested bid amount, which is 10 ADA. The deposit for this bid was 5 ADA, so that's going to go towards the 10. But I need to also add another 5 ADA just to finish balancing this transaction. So let's do that. Choose that as the change address. We just need 5 ADA. We'll just use that one. And use as collateral. The NFTs that are going to be claimed are just going to go to the change address. So let's build this transaction. The total transaction fee is 0.6 ADA. We need both the personal key and the staking key. Let's export this so we can sign it from the terminal. And now we need this command again. So here's the personal key, here's the staking key. And we just submit external transaction. And now we wait for the transaction to get processed. And now you can see that the accepted bid is now gone. If we went to the bid history, this transaction here, one bid was claimed, and you can inspect it. The accepted bid was claimed. And if we go to the home transaction, we can see the transaction where we just received the new options key. It should be EA. This one. This one's the new options key. That is pretty much it. That concludes the tutorial series for the P2P-DeFi wallet. This wallet has a lot of features, but it lets you be a DeFi power user. No other wallet has this potential. The possible DeFi opportunities make learning how to use this wallet completely worth it. If you have any questions or suggestions on how to improve the wallet, please don't hesitate to reach out.